Hello everyone, I'm the TheSparrowsJourney and these are the Sparrow interviews. This is a new series that I'm running out, which is about to interviewing interesting people, important people. People like YouTubers or developers, game developers. And right here I have today an interesting person with interesting things to say to us. Hello Johnny.
Hi, how are you doing?
Johnny Guitar. That's how you are known, right?
Yep.
It's a That Matter mode developer for Crysis 2, which I featured on my channel, the zombie survival mode, the zombie survival game. Johnny, for you I have about 20 questions. You are the first guest on my interview series. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm happy to be here.
So, I want you to, before and foremost, before anything going into the mode, into the game, whatever, I want you to introduce yourself. What are your skills? Have you been involved in any other projects before that matter?
Well, my name is Johnny Guitar, and I do video games. uh,
So you
it's
basically
it,
have been a game developer since ever. Is that what you study for?
no, I haven't. I'm not a professional. I mean, Dead Matter was just something I've been messing around with for quite a while, and then I decided to turn it into something, and I guess that's just the result of it.
So how did that matter come up?
It's kind of been one of those things that I guess you just kind of think about on your own. Like, what would, like, okay, think of it this way. Like, every time you watch a zombie movie, do you ever think, what would what would I do? Or, what should have been done by these actors that would have made them survive? So, essentially, I just wanted to make a cool zombie game, so that's what I ended up doing.
That was like what, about 1-2 years ago? It has nothing to do with DayZ or War Z, right?
Well, Daisy definitely has some influence on my game for sure. I mean, the whole fact that it's multiplayer, I have a feeling the community requested is because they want something similar to that experience that Daisy brought them. And I actually agree. I mean, players are really interesting to deal with because they're completely unpredictable. You can have a player that either wants to shoot you and fucking murder you and leave your body in a ditch, or you might actually find someone that wants to help you. So, players make the game a whole lot more interesting, which is why I like the idea of being a multiplayer game.
Do you keep updating the mode, or will you focus on the standalone completely? Will you allow to the community to further develop the mode after you, I don't know, leave it to the standalone? Are you planning to update to the, is it 0.4 and then move to the standalone? How will you manage
Well,
between the mode and the standalone?
we've pretty much run out of time for the mod. It ended up being too painful to just work with. However, I am friends with a lot of people in the Crysis 2 modding community, and they've offered to help take over
Okay, I see.
mod. Basically, I want to make it a community-driven project, but I feel like it won't get that far due to the fact that we can't, put multiplayer in it, because that's what people really want, and the inventory itself is extremely limited.
Are you getting any type of support from the Crysis team, the Crytek, I think, or nothing at all? Did you even contact
And
them?
no, they haven't contacted me at all, and I mean, the odds of them contacting me are pretty much a snowball's chance in hell. I'm not sure if they even know that Dead Matter existed. I mean,
Is
a
it?
lot of people did touch it, and there are a lot of people that bought Crysis 2 for it. So, I mean, it's not really unfortunate, but I mean, considering that we actually, did get them something, I would have liked to thank you or something like that. But I mean, I'm not expecting it, but it
Yeah.
would have been nice.
I want to know, when did you decide to make that matter a standalone? When did you thought, okay, it's better to just move to a standalone, let's make it happen, against continuing to work on the mode?
It's always been in the back of my head,
Hmm.
but I never really jumped on it until I was approached by pretty much all of my team members within a week. Like, I had about 6 people, um, and they weren't just, nubs. They've worked on some pretty large projects. One of them worked on No More Room in Hell, and I believe one of them is actually, he works at a game company. I can't remember the exact name of it,
Hmm.
but, it wasn't just like, a bunch of, like, 14-year-olds that were like, hey, let's make the best zombie game that we can together. These were really serious people, and, we wouldn't be pulling Dead Matter to its best potential if we didn't go standalone.
Well, we already know that one of the big motives that made you move from the mod to a standalone was to make multiplayer happen, to make multiplayer possible. How are you planning to do with servers? Will you have one huge server for everyone? Will you have several servers like in Warzy? How are you managing that?
We're gonna give this server software. Anyone can run their own server, and you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. We're just gonna give it to the community. Whatever they want to do with it, they can do whatever they want to do with it. If they want to run a server on their own computer so they can just play it by themselves, they can do that quite easily. If you want to run a major hosting company with their with their server software, then you're pretty much free to do so.
Okay. So you're not hosting the servers yourself, like one or two?
Well, I'm gonna host my own server, but there's not gonna be any quote-unquote
Official.
official. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see. Regarding the multiplayer, and when you're in the game, in the world, how will the player interaction work? Like, will you be able to kill each other like a crazy person? So are you working so that players can team up? Is there any kind of clans, guilds? Because my experience on War Z was, I must say, pretty terrible when it comes to player interaction. Like, I was about to getting close to a person, asking her if it was friendly or not, but before even doing that, I was already on the floor, dead.
The only thing that we really can do is give incentive for players not to murder each other. And there's a few things that can be done to achieve this. But players' attitude towards some of the situations can also make doing something like this a bit difficult. Because let's say that we have 2 players, let's say player A and player B. If there's no threat that threatens both of them, and they'll die if they don't work together, then they're not going to work together. But if there's a very good reason for them to work together and help each other, then they will most likely do so. And then they will both be successful or whatever, dude, in the end.
So you're working in a way that will have eventually to happen, so that people can team up and work
We're
as a
gonna
team.
we're gonna make zombies hard.
I think you're trying to make the game very realistic. At least that's the idea I had when I'm talking to you. So if you're like in
Yeah.
a post-apocalyptic game where there's a lot of zombies and you see like a perfectly human, healthy person, you probably, your first impression, your first move will be trying to getting close to her and try to team up rather than just kill her at at the first chance you get. Or that's maybe just me being too kind. I don't know.
I think another problem might have been the lack of voice communication. Because, I mean, you don't really have an incentive not to kill people. I mean, unless... I feel like a dick if there's, like, some guy and he's, like, really upset that I shot him or something like that. But if I don't actually hear a voice or I'm more inclined to kill them. So voice over IP will definitely
Make a difference.
play a role in hopefully making it so not that many players will end up dead.
Okay. Will you have any group system, like you can group up with other people in a party or something, like in MMOs, let's say?
No, because that requires centralized servers. We can't do.
Will we be able to customize your character? Like in Warzy had some kind of customizations. Will you be able to change your character looks?
Yes, and clothing will play a pretty important part of that. We have to find a few more character artists, but hopefully clothes will pretty much be the standard way of like storing stuff. So what we want to do is get an inventory system. Well, we're gonna fully flesh out the males first, simply not because we're sexist or anything, but because probably I'd say 80% of the game players would be male anyways.
Maybe that's a reason why you should include females. That's just me. That's just me.
Well, isn't it a little creepy if there's a guy pretending to be a female? Just saying.
Believe me, there's a lot of them that plays a female just because they can look at a female back throughout the whole game. Do you are afraid that multiplayer will ruin the single player aspect of that matter? Because I really had a good experience with single player on that matter. And do you have any specific plans to make players able to play completely alone? You probably can because of the local servers, right?
Yeah, you can just put a server on your home computer and then just run it where you get connected to the server.
And you can
So-
like lock it and make it private.
No one else would be able to touch it if it's just running on your local
Oh yeah,
host.
exactly. And you can play on co-op mode, I would say, with just one
Yeah,
person or two.
You can password it and then open it up to a few friends, and if you want to play that way, that's completely up to you, and you're free to do so. We don't want to lock down players with all these silly restrictions. I mean, you know, you bought the game, you should have access to the server software, so that's what we're giving you.
Yeah, that's extremely cool because there's a lot of games nowadays that you can't just play on single player because you don't have internet. Anyway, will you have a map like of the territory of the world when we start the game? Or will we have to loot it?
You'll have to go find one.
Okay, so how are you introducing the player into the world? Like, if you're there, you're supposedly someone that lived there. How are you introducing the world to the player? How do you say, okay, this is how you start, this is your... There won't be any story, right? Maybe a cinematic? I don't know. How are you introducing this to the player? Hard
A
one.
really good question.
I know.
Very good question. I think what I really want to do is make it so when you first load in and you respawn a character, there'll be like atmospheric music, and it'll be like, welcome to Dead Matter, you know, this is the story of how you died or whatever, or something like that, you know.
It's not decided yet then.
Not set in concrete.
What happens when you die in the game? In Warzy you had to wait like 1 hour for your character to respawn. What about here?
Once you're dead, you're dead.
Oh,
Nothing more to it.
So it's like our mode. You dead, you never touch that character anymore.
Yes. Ever. They did. They did forever.
Ouchie, that's realistic. So, what can we expect as landscapes? Like, can we expect forests, cities, buildings, probably a post-apocalyptic place with a lot of ruins, an island maybe? What can we expect?
Trees. A lot of damn trees. We're gonna have a foresty environment with some mountains and then hopefully a shoreline. However, I've been thinking of simply splitting the world into regions, and then like each region represents a map that's like you know, overall, all these regions put together would make like a really large chunk of land, and then we could slowly release those chunks over time, and then make certain parts of it unique. Like, you know, there could be like a mountainous area that like would have a smaller, isolated town, and it would be a lot colder, and then the cold could really change the gameplay. So
And there would be
we,
like different maps which you can load on the server or something. Like you start the server and you pick a certain map. Is that it?
yeah,
Or are they connected?
they're not going to be connected. But if you want to transfer, like if you want to change the map, you can change the map, but it'll reset your spawn point as soon as the map isn't the same as the one you last logged off on.
I see. Well, there will be a lot of spooky places probably, right?
I want to make a mining town, so...
Nice. We know that there's vehicles in the mod. That was probably because there were vehicles in the Crysis already, so you could make them on the mod as well. It's really something that I lacked, that I missed in the War Z. What type of vehicles can you expect on the standalone? Can you expect like maybe helicopters or boats even? Because we already know there's land vehicles probably. But what about the other ones? Any
I don't want to
word on
give
that?
away too much. I don't want to give away too much on this, but expect golf carts.
Well, that's cool. You will have to.
In all seriousness, though, it wouldn't be military trucks. It would just kind of be more civilian type deals, because I don't want to make it like just found a Humvee. There's explosives and C4 in the back of it. That would just be stupid if you ask me. I mean, it's a zombie survival game, not a paramilitary, you know, you are a squadron of superheroes that can shoot, you know, Barrett 50 cals across the map to headshot a zombie through the eyeball.
Okay, you're gonna like my next question then. What sort of weaponry can we expect? Like more to the army stuff? Modern antique weapons that we should expect people to have in their houses, or more wacky stuff like flamethrowers or bazookas?
Well, it's going to be taking place in Canada again, for sure. So we got to keep it realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, every civilian weapon that you find will pretty much, like, if you can actually own it in Canada, it'll probably be in the game. And it's really hard to do that because the laws are so damn strict.
I see.
I think we'll get by, though.
Okay, so you're really taking a realistic path down the game, not really more crazy stuff.
We want to make it realistic to a degree where it's still fun, but if we're sacrificing fun and gameplay for realism, then maybe we'll just have to chop back on a few, you know, areas.
Okay, regarding something that I was really curious about, a crafting system. Will you have any type of crafting, like, for instance, picking flowers and make medicine, picking a metal saw with some screws and make a chainsaw? Obviously, I'm just exaggerating here, but will we have any crafting system? Is that in the works? Is that planned?
Have you played Far Cry recently?
Yeah.
Just wondering, because you mentioned the whole plant thing.
Yeah, I was really thinking about it. That was the first example of Far Cry. I haven't played it, but I watched some videos and I know it's there. And I also think about Dead Island. I know the crafting system is crap, but I was thinking of something about those lines, picking stuff and making something with it, or improving your weapons.
Any crafting would be a simplistic put X and X together for Y.
Okay.
Or put X and Y together for XY. So it would be very basic because we don't want to overcomplicate things. And for the actual plants and stuff, there would be plants that you can actually get food from. But you wouldn't, like, you know, craft it into all these items and stuff. That would just be a little over the top. I mean, I'm all for tissue plus beer bottle equals Molotov, but I'm not into, you know, crafting a chainsaw or something like that.
Do you have any sort of leveling system experience or anything?
No.
Experience? No, because I was thinking, like, when you start your adventure there, you're like a survivor. You could be like a doctor, a military guy, a carpenter, anything. It could be anything at all. And at the start, you probably couldn't make a Molotov just because you wouldn't think about it. But the more time you run the game, like, the more you are supposed to be desperate and start going and like creating crazy stuff like that. Anyway, I heard you could have different types of ammo for the same weapons. Is that possible? Are you allowing people like to approach different situations with different types of ammo, because they might want to have a more stronger ammo for against a stronger enemy, things like that.
If the gun is properly chambered for it, then yes, they'll be able to use pretty much any ammo they want.
Okay, cool. So how are you
As long as it works with the gun. But if you load the wrong ammo, the wrong gun, because the game will allow you to do that, and you shoot, the gun will explode in your face and you won't have a gun anymore.
Oh wow, that's interesting. And
I
could you
want to
die?
see what people end up doing. You won't die necessarily, but
You will take wounds.
Will be damaged beyond all recognition. No, it will just be a damage to your hands. But I mean, completely killing you would be really cruel and unforgiving.
I see. And you're not completely cruel then.
Not 100%.
Regarding to like the stats that you must pay attention to, I actually didn't have this on my questions, but I'm remembering that now. On War Z, for instance, again, that's my point of comparison. You had like
That's fine.
You had like thirst and hungry. You had just to get food and drinks to keep you alive. What about in Dead Matter? Is that just about the same, or is there anything else we must be careful with? Like, I don't know, maybe cold, you need to warm up or something?
To say the least, you're not going to die from going hungry and walking 300 meters, although it will contribute to other factors that will not really necessarily help your character. So, staying well fed and well hydrated is definitely a factor that needs to be considered. But it's not lethal if you don't do it. It's just, it will still screw you up pretty badly, but it's not 100% lethal.
But you supposedly die if you don't eat, right?
Well, you don't die right away, like you would after, you know, not eating for, let's say, 4 hours in game. These aren't final numbers, just kind of pulling them out of my ass. But anyways, you know, let's say that you die after not eating for 4, but you get weakened or something in 2. Because, you know, like maybe you won't be able to swing an axe, or like your melee damage would be reduced. Maybe you kind of shake a bit towards the end when you're pretty much near death. So it wouldn't necessarily kill you.
It will eventually lead to something that will kill you.
It would kill you directly after a long period of time, but indirectly it will probably lead to something that will kill you before you actually die of starvation.
Wait, how are you working zombies? How are you working like the artificial intelligence? Because common zombies like in DayZ or War Z just chase you. You can run more than them. They'll just stop chasing you if you run for a while. Do they hear you through walls? How are you working the zombies in artificial intelligence?
That's something I'm not really gonna talk about too much, because it's something I want to protect, because I don't want other people kind of using the idea. I'm not trying to be a complete asshole, but it's something that we haven't fully worked out.
That's totally fine.
And when we do, you know, it has to be realistic, it has to be challenging, but it can't be stupid. One thing I will say, though, is that if they do attack you, and when they do attack you, you don't take immediate damage, but what they'll do is they'll grapple onto you and then like start, biting and hitting you and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point in which, you
Like,
start taking damage. So they kind of grab onto you like they did in Left 4 Dead. Otherwise, you'd just be able to run around hordes of zombies without none of them doing anything to you.
exactly. I was exactly about to mention that. Like in War Z, and maybe DayZ, I think I saw already some videos on it. You just can run from them, and they are no threat at all. The only threat ends up being other players in the game. Can we expect like different type of zombies, like big kick-ass monsters, or animal zombies like cows, cats, dogs? I don't know, different type of zombies.
Meow. Yes, you will be able to. Trust me, it's gonna happen. I don't want to give away too much information on it, but trust me, there are going to be special infected, not just animals, but there will be some humans that, may have a reason to not be fully dead yet. Something of that sort.
Okay, cool. So I know it's very very early to ask you this. Probably don't even know what to answer. But after the release, what are your plans? Do you plan to release more skins for characters, more maps, more weapons additions, more vehicles?
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. We will release content as often as we can. I mean, we're really small, so it depends on a large amount of factors. But yes, I definitely do want to release more stuff as we go along.
I want to ask you, how big is your team right now? Your development team?
Well, right now we're kind of building up the core team, so there's about I believe 6 of us in the core team, and then hopefully we're going to recruit a lot more people to help out with the, we just need to pick up some volunteers to help out the core team meet their goals.
Okay, should we know how can they volunteer? How can they contact you?
They can send me an email, and then I'll just give you my email, and then you can put it in the description.
Okay, cool. So if you want to contribute to this project, just contact Johnny. Will the game cost any money?
It's looking like it will probably cost some money. And it's not because we're money thing pieces of human garbage and all that. It's not cheap, and
Of course, it takes time and effort.
it
completely
takes a
understandable.
huge amount of time. Yeah.
But you are compensating people that bought Crysis 2 for the mode, right?
Yeah, we'll cover the difference because we understand that a lot of people bought Crysis 2, even though that Crytek is not giving us anything or anything like that. But we just want to support the community that supported us in the very beginning, because in the end, the standalone itself wouldn't have been possible at all if they had not contributed.
That's extremely kind. That's very cool. So I have to ask you this: will you have, or how can we? When can we expect a playable version, like an alpha or a beta? Not mentioning the release, of course.
A playable version? Now, brace yourself. Probably 8 months is the minimum. It was originally 6 months, but I'm just going to burst that a bit so we actually have time to make sure that everything can get done and get done on a timely manner to make sure we can get the best possible, dead matter alpha. I'm not planning to charge money for the alpha. It's going to be purely invite only.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to play it out like that because, if we don't, then there could be some problems.
So we're looking at approximately the end of 2013.
Yes, unfortunately. I know that just tears your heartstrings apart, but
somehow. Well, that was all I had for this interview, Johnny. Do you have any
Alright.
special goodbyes, any promises? Do you want to send any message to the people that play that matter or the people that don't know that matter and might be interested in? Basically, do you want to sell your game?
If you know how to model stuff, please contact me. Otherwise, just wait out for the game. And, I don't believe in selling an alpha. I mean, if we have to do it, then we will. But, everyone out there, if you're interested right now, you can probably get into the earlier alpha. Just letting you know, I would just kind of poke out. We might be doing some fun stuff on the subreddit, so I would subscribe to that. Subscribe to or not really subscribe, but like the Facebook page and just kind of follow all of our kind of social media channels, and we'll be definitely doing some fun stuff on those to make sure that everyone that sort of deserves to get in will get in. All the YouTubers and stuff that helped us out as well will definitely be getting in because we owe them massive respect, especially to people such as Oshi7, Sparrow's Journey, Josh EBFPS. He got quite a lot of views on his videos as well, and I mean, Info also is a really big help. He really helped me manage pretty much everything, like the Facebook page. He helped me. He did so much. He actually helped out with those medicine models I showed you earlier as well. So huge props to him. It was really I guess bro of him. So definitely huge thanks to him. Huge thanks to dev team, and I think that's pretty much the end of me kissing everyone's ass, so cut that out. Cut that out. I'm gonna hate you.
I'm not gonna cut that out.
Oh my god.
Okay, Johnny, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Thank you so much for having time and being available for this interview. And I hope you have some great success with the standalone and the mode itself. And I hope you accomplish your objectives with that matter.
Well, I'm gonna try as hard as I can.
Alright, see you, Johnny.
Alright, have a good one.
I hope you enjoyed the first episode of this interview series. If you want any specific person to be featured on this interview series, please comment down below and leave your opinion, leave your suggestion, and I'll try and make it happen. Please take into consideration that there are certain limits. I'll see you on the next one.